guys, I'm Sean. So in this video, me and my group commemorate some of the significant events happened in the life of our national hero, Jose Rizal. So enjoy and tune in. So Jose Rizal, a name who expressed his love for Philippines through his writings, novels, and articles rather than the use of force or aggression. So he considered as our national hero because he fought for freedom in a silent and powerful way. So he is very amazing person at his time. So he was humble, fighting for reforms through his writings rather than through revolution. He used his intelligence, talents, and skills in a peaceful way rather than the aggressive way. So his life is full of historic and significant events that build up who really he was up until his death. And as we and our group, we counted, or rather we, let's just say we recall or turn back some of these significant events happens in his life. So one of these significant events was his last homecoming and his trial. So Rizal's homecoming took place in 1896, so the last in his life. So was his saddest return to his beloved native land. So he knew he was facing the supreme test, which might mean the sacrifice of his life, but he was unafraid. So the trial was held shortly after Rizal's homecoming was one of the history's mockeries of justice. So let's proceed. So October 6, 1896, Tuesday, Rizal left Barcelona. So Rizal consciously recorded the events on his diary. So the Spaniards known that time that Rizal was keeping track of the daily events in his diary. So they were curious what were recording in his diary. So the suspicion rose and the Spaniards feared what made the diary exciting. So on October 11, 1896, before reaching the port, so the Spaniards took Rizal's diary and was critically scrutinized by the Spanish authorities, which on November 2, 1896, the diary was also returned to Rizal. But Rizal wasn't able to record the events happened in October 12 to November 2. So 3 days before the confiscation of his diary, so Rizal learned from the friendly officer that the Madrid papers were full of stories regarding the revolutions in the Philippines. And the big news is he was the one who blamed for it. So the news from Rizal's predicament reached his friend in Europe and Singapore. So his friends, Dr. Antonio Ma and Sixto Lopez, dispatched frantic telegrams to an English lawyer named Huge Ford, so to rescue Rizal from the Spanish steamer. When it reached Singapore by means of writ of habeas corpus, so Chief Justice Lionel Cox denied the writ on the ground that the colon was carrying the Spanish troops in the Philippines. So, but Jose Rizal was unaware of the attempt made by his friends to rescue him in Singapore. And on November 3, 1896, colon reached Manila, and Rizal was quietly transferred under heavy guard from the ship to Fort Santiago.
In November 3, 1896, Rizal arrived in Manila with the steamer Colon. Rizal was brought to Fort Santiago pending the prosecution of his case. The Spanish authorities were very much preoccupied with the gathering and fabrication of evidences to be used against him. Many Filipino patriots, including Deodato Arellano, Dr. Pio Valenzuela, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Domingo Prasco, Timoteo Paez, and Pedro Soriano were brutally arrested and cruelly tortured. Rizal's own brother was also arrested and cruelly tortured. He suffered all pains inflicted Spain's diabolical torturers, but never signed any damaging statement incriminating his younger brother. On November 20, 1896, the preliminary investigation began. Rizal, the accused, appeared before the judge advocate Colonel Francisco Olive. He was subjected to a 5-day investigation. Rizal was informed about his charges and been given the chance to answer the questions they have on him. though he was never permitted to confront those people who testified against him. And there are two kinds of evidences presented against him. First, we have the documentary evidence, which consists of 15 exhibits. Second is the testimonial evidence, which consists of the oral testimonies.
The documentary evidences of Rizal's last homecoming were a letter from Antonio Mariano Ponce, dated Madrid, October 16, 1888, showing Rizal's connection with the Filipino Reform Campaign in Spain. A letter of Rizal to his family, dated Madrid, August 20, 1890, stating that the deportations are good for they would encourage the people to hate tyranny. A letter from Marcelo H. del Pilar to Diodato Arellano, dated Madrid, January 7, 1889, implicating Rizal in the propaganda movement campaign in Spain. A poem entitled Kundiman, allegedly written by Rizal in Manila on September 12, 1891. A letter from Carlos Oliver to an unidentified person, dated Barcelona, September 18, 1891, describing Rizal as the man to free the Philippines from Spanish oppression. A Masonic Lodge document dated Manila, February 9, 1892, honoring Rizal for his patriotic service. A letter signed Dimasalang, Rizal's pseudonym, to Tonlon's Juan Zulueta, pseudonym, Hong Kong, dated May 24, 1892, stating that he was preparing a safe refuge for Filipinos who may be persecuted by the Spanish authorities. A letter to Dimasalang to an unidentified committee, dated June 1, 1892, soliciting the aid of the committee in the patriotic work. Anonymous and undated letter to the editor of Hong Kong Telegraph, censoring the banishment of Rizal to Dapitan. A letter to Ildefonso Laurel to Rizal, dated Manila, informing an unidentified correspondent of the arrest and the banishment of Doroteo Cortes and Ambrosio Salvador. A letter to Marcelo H. del Pilar to Don Juan A. Tonles, Juan Zulueta, Madrid, date June 1, 1893, recommending the establishment of a special organization dependent of Masonry to help the cause of the Filipino people. Transcript of speech of Pinky and Emilio Jacinto in a reunion to Katipunan on July 23, 1893, in which the following cry uttered, "Long live the Philippines, long live liberty, long live Dr. Rizal Unity."
The testimonial evidence consists of the oral testimonies of Martin Constantino, Aguado del Rosario, Jose Reyes, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Domingo Franco, Deodato Arellano, Ambrosio Salvador, Pedro Seriano Lactao, Dr. Peo Valenzuela, Antonio Salazar, Francisco Quezon, and Timoteo Paez. Colonel Olive transmitted the records of the case. Governor Ramon Blanco, who in turn appointed Captain Rafael Dominguez as the judge advocate to institute the corresponding action against Rizal. Don Nicolas de la Peña, Judge Advocate General, whom General Blanco transmitted the papers for an opinion. After studying the papers, Peña submitted the following recommendations. 1. The accused be immediately brought to trial. 2. He should be kept in prison. 3. An order of attachment be issued against his properties to the amount of 1 million pesos as indemnity. And 4. He should be defended in court by an army officer, not by a civilian lawyer. Rizal chooses his defender, Don Luis Taviel de Andrade, the first lieutenant of artillery, brother of Jose Taviel de Andrade, the bodyguard of Rizal. He was accused of being the principal organizer and the living soul of the Filipino insurrection, the founder of societies, periodicals, and books dedicated to fomenting and propagating ideas of rebellion. On December 11, the charges were read to Rizal in the presence of his counsel to questions asked. Rizal replied, he did not question the jurisdiction of the court. He had nothing to amend except that since his deportation to the Pitan in 1892, he had not engaged in politics. 3. He did not admit the charges preferred against him. And 4. He did not admit the declarations of witnesses against him. On December 15, Rizal wrote a manifesto to his people in his prison cell at Fort Santiago, appealing to them to stop the necessary shedding of blood and to achieve their liberties by means of education and industry. It was not published because it did not condemn the rebellion in its totality, but only in two aspects: lack of participation and preparation.
Rizal was charged of the crime of rebellion and the formation of illegal association. So here are Rizal's arraignment. On December 13, 1896, while in detention, Rizal released a manifesto that he denounces the revolution and condemned Katipunan for using his name without his permission. The actual trial. He was accused of 3 crimes: rebellion, sedition, illegal association.
Charges against Rizal. On December 11, 1896, in the presence of his Spanish counsel, charges against Rizal were read. When asked regarding his sentiments or reaction on the charges, Rizal replied that he does not question the jurisdiction of the court. He has nothing to amend except that during his exile in the Pitan in 1892, he had not dealt in political matters. He has nothing to admit on the charges against him. He had nothing to admit on the declaration of the witnesses he had not met nor knew against him. Alright, that is all for the lesson 14. Thank you for listening and I hope that you have learned something from us. God bless.